right, looks like it's 7 o'clock. I will welcome to our regularly scheduled board meeting for July 1st, 2024. And we will start by calling the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Mullins.
Here.
Hanlon.
Here.
Noggle.
Here.
Wagers.
Here.
Wagner.
Here. If you would please join me to the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the opportunity for the public to be heard. Do we have anyone? All right, no one signed in, so we will move on to, we'll start with the discussion of the student empowerment and staff empowerment.
Turn my speaker on while I talk. So we finished all the summer programming last week. It went off pretty much without a hitch. We had 21st Century serving Angus, Limestone, Northwoods, Garfield, running simultaneously with our Pratt camp, which was mostly just a math camp that finished up our ESSER money. And those went really well. Lots of good attendance. We do have about 13,000 carryover from the ESSER money, which is the last of the COVID funding, of which we're promptly going to spend that on a math application for math facts for next year. So that's a good thing. Also, Sandite Summer Pride is going on right now. How they do it in the heat of the summertime is beyond me after that little experience with our groundbreaking. But they do, and just a little nugget. Kevin Avey is doing a strength and conditioning type camp for volleyball and cheer now, which is kind of a new thing. I think we've done volleyball in the past, maybe last year, but they added cheer this year. So there's a lot of desire, I guess, for young athletes to have some places to go in the summer and some work, agility and strength and all those things. So, of course, the sports camps are going on too, and that's pretty much what we do in the summer with athletics. I would make note of leave policy changes under item number 40. We'll talk through that when we get to that item. One is an SSCA question. A policy asked for us to consider changes, and some just needed some language cleanup to clarify. The biggest change is payout for unused sick leave for retirees. We were given a comparison of other districts in our region, and we were falling far below what others were doing. Some were as high as $50, $65 per day, and so we needed to clean that up. And we'll talk more about that again when we go over those policies. Those are first read tonight. I would make that comment, so it's for your viewing pleasure, and of course study over the next 4 weeks before our August meeting. I just think we're in a place where we need to encourage loyalty to the district, so we added a caveat of thou shalt work for the district at least 10 years to be able to be eligible, and it has to be a Sand Springs public school experience. So again, trying to keep people here and the longevity of our employees. New SDE rules were approved by the governor. We've talked a little bit. I know you've read your OSSBA alerts that you get each week. Of course, there's always some that we're not pleased with, but probably the biggest one that is of concern is the accreditation piece, whereby accreditation is dependent somewhat on performance of spring testing. I wrote a note that it reminds me of the old No Child Left Behind days that was happening years ago when we were kind of fighting that battle back in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. It's like we're revisiting what we've already learned, and that is that's a pretty bad predictor of school performance. But again, it's what the governor signed, so it's what we're going to be doing for the next short while. That's it, unless you guys have questions about curriculum, staff, student empowerment. Okay.
Any questions?
Okay, on to item 5 for resource innovation. Of course, I always include the OASA Vernon Florence newsletter. There's not a whole lot more to say. It's pretty consistent with what you've been seeing. We know we're not looking at a revenue failure, which is great, but always cautiously moving forward. As if you followed the legislation, the grocery tax was diminished this year. Any tax that goes away can adversely affect school budgets because it goes into the general fund. So just a little nugget to know and be aware of as people start talking about tax breaks. Work is happening. Summer's really busy. People ask what we do in the summer. We do a lot. And so right now I know Mr. Bynum's pretty busy monitoring everything going on. Roofs, as you all approved earlier this spring, CPHS is approximately 50% complete. Doobie's about 60% complete. It's an undertaking. I mean, you're raising HVA units off the roof with a crane while the work's being done, and they're lowered again. Athletic department's been very, very compliant with just working with us to empty the doobie the day that was done. You'd asked for pictures, Mr. Mullins. I don't have those, but Mike, we can ask Trimco you have some, so we can get those to you. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that one. Pratt was the next piece of work to report on. You approved earlier a upgrade on the ADA bathrooms. Those are ones in the front that have not been ADA compliant since I can remember, to be honest. Alongside that, they're remodeling part of the admin portion as well. When they pulled out the bathrooms, the one hitch they found was an exterior wall, which required the addition of a beam, which was able to be installed with contingency, so it didn't cost more. I do have pictures that Ms. Konvach sent. As you know, the plumbing under the slab was struggling a little bit. And of course, the work in the kitchen is also underway as well with the grease trap and the drainage. So the work's going well. It's a lot. As of last week, the Angus ADA bathroom upgrade, also part of the bond issue, had not been started yet. Dick Watts is also on that project as well. He won the bid for that. And again, he's doing the Pratt part, but it will be complete before school starts. Work for the new bus lane and parking is underway at Clyde Boyd. Golly, they're moving some dirt. I didn't realize, I don't think, how far north that would go out on the Boyd portion, and maybe even to the east on the Pratt playground side. But necessary. There are new civil drawings, Mr. Mullins, and she sent those today, and I'll forward them to the board via blind copy email. Went this week so that you can see those. But it's happening. I mean, all the work's happening. I think the public is, I think they're always grateful to see a bond pass and work start, which is what we're getting ready to see with this current property here. Bond proceeds, we are super thankful. We were expecting a $40 million payout for revenue lease. You never know what the flavor of the day is, meaning interest rates, but we came out sitting pretty at $44.3 million, which is great, meaning it takes a little worry off our shoulders when projects go over budget or there's a hitch, which always happens with construction. So that's looking really well as too. The land purchase for the Methodist Church, RFR, we had a meeting with Eric Nelson, who's drawing up a contract for you all to review. It did not come Friday as he had kind of promised, so I need to reach out to Mr. Nelson and see when he's planning to send it. Our goal is to get that to you alongside, I believe, the appraisal, which I think I've already sent, but that'll be forwarded with the contract so you can take a look. If you drive by the property on 38th and I call it Old Sepulveda Road, 113th. You'll see the Methodist Church is working really hard to clean that property up. So a lot of the junk's gone in the back. They've mowed it. Mike will be thankful that they have mowed it. Maybe by the time, if the board so chooses to purchase that property, we'll have a hot month of maybe low growth for grass for the rest of the summer. I still think it's a great purchase. We have building fund money to complete that. We got the last of our red bud, just over $700,000. So there's sufficient money in red bud to make that purchase just up front. So to me, it's a good way to have what I'm calling an athletic annex, to offer more support and facility space for our programs. But futuristically, it's also a really great site for the possibility of a community school with growth. So I'm looking forward to presenting that information to the board. Of course, the Methodist Church, I think they're anxious to get rid of it because of the switch in governance with that church. but they're working hard to get it ready. So I think if anybody would like to see it, I'm sure Mike Stockard would be more than happy to take you all out to look at it.
I've been in there before, but what is it gonna be used for?
So there's a gym, quote unquote, in it right now. Okay, so the floor. So one of the goals, to build a gym is a good cool 2 million, much like the Angus gym. If we rebuilt the Angus gym right now, hardened, it would be over 4.
Yeah, but
So, right, basketball. We're tearing down a gym that they've used for practice. That's one portion. There's an upstairs area. The other thing I've been asked for multiple times over and over again is a place for golf to practice. And so I think there's a strategy to put nets in place so that golf could also have a practice facility as well. And then just other activities. So a space for banquets, a space for fundraisers, a space for, there's just multi-uses that we could use that for. Our goal eventually is to put a wood floor in, because I can promise you our basketball team's not going to touch that as a true, actual practice facility without a collegiate floor. And this is an opportunity to add a collegiate-sized floor that we don't have currently, other than the practice gym at the high school. So they've struggled a little bit, to be honest, having enough space, because there are times where volleyball and basketball are going on at the same time, and having enough facility room to accommodate those concurrent sports has been difficult at best. So that's the reason. But great question, for sure.
Sure, the Methodist Church didn't own this property that long ago when they bought it. I don't know what was there beforehand. Could we ask if they've got an environmental assessment? I just hate to throw.
We can, absolutely.
Environmentally damaging.
Absolutely. I don't think you'll see a problem with that. They're pretty forthright, to be honest, Mr. Mullins, and they did mention civil in terms of drainage. That's a thing. But I really feel like you're going to run into that regardless of where you build, because there's, definitely regulations. But I can certainly ask that question for sure.
Something that's got some buried tank in it or something.
Yeah, I don't. I'll ask that question. I don't know the answer to that. They have had that property for at least 10 years. That building is 10 to 12 years old. It's been not super long, but longer than you would think.
They did that due diligence when they bought it.
Correct.
And I know
Yeah.
they didn't add anything to it.
No. But I'll ask that question. That's a great question. Yeah, don't let me forget that one. So
Remember what was there way before that?
I don't even know what was there. I don't know if anybody would recollect. We'd have. Yeah. Hayfield. Yeah, I think it was vacant.
There was something there back in the 50s, I believe, maybe a farmhouse there. And I think there was a dentist here that owned that property. He had a little ranch, kind of farm with a little farm thing on it. But there's not been anything there in that property in the last 40 years. It's probably just fine.
That's a great question. Yeah, don't let me forget. So that concludes district finance strategies, facility updates, unless you guys have questions. Other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 6, communication and families and communities. I bring up the digital communication policy specifically on this piece. It's item number 41C. This is one we're asking for approval in July because it's required by law. This is the part that is a result of a change in state law, which makes it basically illegal for a teacher or staff member to communicate with students via a text message, social media outlet, unless there's some sort of an emergency, which would be a very rare occasion. You've probably seen my all-staff emails going out. I've sent 2, had a huge conversation at the end of the year about it, and now it's time for the board to have a policy. We also are going to ask you to approve a platform called School Status Connect, which would be board and school adopted, allows for 2-way communication between students as our official kind of quasi-GroupMe. We're using GroupMe a lot right now, but this would actually be school adopted. And so the expectation would be for our coaches, our staff, anybody that needed to connect with a student via, well, for whatever reason, school-related, would have to be on either our Google platform or School Status Connect, or Aptigee is also another mechanism by which we could contact kids. The goal here is to make sure admin have the right to actually review any communication that a staff member might make with a student. And so that's a really great thing to have, because then we can go into the platform and actually pull up those connections and see exactly what's been transpiring. So super important, I think, to make sure we're identifying.
Like a text message or something through that platform?
It can be, but our coaches, the call I got this month, because we hadn't had anything approved. It is like a text message, so we use GroupMe as a staff frequently, which is great because you have a group of parents. Mr. Sitton called when this came out because our coaches were still communicating. I say coaches, but there are lots of student groups that require communication. And the question was, we use GroupMe, can we continue to do that? And I said, absolutely, but put the parents in. I mean, it's just safe to do that. And we kind of will say, oh, that state law really would have liked for it to read differently, but this one, I actually think is good. I'm excited that it's there. And we preach that all the time, how to handle social media contacts. It's just not appropriate, to be honest. So we are creating a policy, we're asking for approval, and then we're also adopting those mechanisms by which makes it okay to contact kids. So questions about, that's probably the most important one in this piece. Groundbreaking ceremony, of course, was tonight. It was super hot. But I was excited. We had a lot of people show up, even in the heat, to celebrate with us, which I think is a good, a blessing, showing community support for what we're trying to accomplish. So that was a lot of fun.
Never seen a groundbreaking where they gave down a hammer.
I know. Well, there's not a lot of dirt out there, and you'd have to stand on a hill, and that would be terrible. So that was actually Josh Milburn's idea. He said, we brought sledgehammers before, and we thought that would be fun. And then somebody said, can we break out a window? And David Kearns thought that wasn't a good idea because it's dangerous. So we didn't do that. But that was a lot of fun. I had never seen that before, but apparently they have. So, right? Exactly. That might have said, made a statement that we wouldn't want to, those sand
I
dikes.
was a little offended that Sherry Durkee was scared. I was behind her with the
I was-
hammer.
You're the one. Listen, I feel like it was a little scary.
So
but
school status is like
You wouldn't
GroupMe.
have felt a thing?
it's like, well, so I'm going to defer to Cindy's in the back, but it was, and Jay's familiar with it. They've used it somewhat, like the free version at Pratt. And we're trying to eliminate communication. I mean, this conversation first got started because we wanted to eliminate communication by Facebook. Trying to be a little bit more professional in announcement, and Facebook, I mean, you can download pictures. It's just not as secure as we would like. So, Jay, you might have been the first site to use it. Do you want to elaborate at all?
Yeah, it does two-way messaging like GroupMe, like Remind, like Facebook Messenger, but it also has the ability to have traditional announcements where teachers can, just like a Facebook stream, but each kid also has a secure backpack where a teacher can drop an individual student's paper in that backpack. Parents can log in and see it, and it tracks anytime something is viewed. If you can pull up the app, like I can be outside on the playground dealing with something, pull up the app, tap a student, his guardians are there, pick the guardian, and it will call them from a random number versus my cell phone number. It records the conversation, so if we need to come back and revisit it, we can, in addition to text messages and everything that goes out. So it gives you a lot of feeling of
sounds like
safety when you're communicating.
That
Well-
sounds really good.
And all messages are archived, right? I mean,
Yeah, you
That's
can
what I was
archive the messages, and then it saves them, and then Cindy can get to them on the admin's back end.
How long does it save them for? Is there a certain amount
So
of time?
Lisa's
However long we want it.
Lisa's taken the implementation lead on that. So I pointed to Jay because he was using it, but Lisa, you could elaborate as well.
Yeah, I had the same question, and they said basically however long we want to keep it. It depends on as the kids graduate out, how long we feel we need to keep those files on record, but they don't have a set expiration date.
Oh, good.
I think it sets a standard when you know somebody could get into your system and see. It just puts a barrier that might not otherwise be employed there for a staff member that might be tempted to message a child. So I'm excited about it.
GroupMe. It's the bane of my existence.
GroupMe is, it's because it dings every day. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, any questions regarding those things? Okay, moving on to health and safety. I'm not going to reiterate, but I am going to reiterate. The digital thing is a very big safety thing in my book. And so I would just say, again, the law, the promoting, please don't text children, I think is great. And it's adding to, I think, safety-related issues. So that's great. Health-wise, Ms. Pearson is here. Thank you, Sherry, for coming. Is chasing the possibility of becoming, or she was actually, I think we've made a decision, becoming what's called a CEP district. If you ask me what that acronym stands for, I'm going to say Sherry will have to tell you that. But I do know what it does. It's basically the ability to feed all of our kids for free. We've been reviewing it on a yearly basis. I think, and I'm going to let her speak, but we didn't feel like we were at a place where we had enough participation and qualification to make it not ludicrous, because we're not making money, but just able to break even, basically. And we're still a little bit worried about it, to be honest. We're going to go through a pilot program, but we've already kind of signed up for it. So, Sherry, do you want to elaborate on CEP?
Now you can hear me. CEP is Community Eligibility Provision, and it gives us the opportunity to feed all of our students a free breakfast and a free lunch each day. What we have to do to be able to qualify for it is off of a direct certified list that comes from DHS. If we have a certain high enough percentage of our students that are on this list, then we can qualify. Now, this list has our households on it that are SNAP, TANF, FIDPER households. Then we can also utilize our foster list. We can utilize homeless, migrant, runaway lists. So I compiled all of these numbers together, and when we put it all down to that versus enrollment, we came out to a 74.16%. Prime would be if we were 90 or 95%. We're not, but after crunching a lot of numbers and discussion with Ms. Sturkey, I truly feel like if whatever we do with feeding kids free, it's going to up our participation. And upping our participation is going to allow us to bring in more money on this program. Again, we just want to break even. So if we can increase our participation, I figure about 12%, and then we are going to really try to beef up our a la carte program. And with both of those, I feel like we will come out fine. But what I would like to do is just present it as a pilot program for our district this year, do it for 1 year, and then next year in the spring, I'll go back, pull all the numbers again, and see where we stand, look at the budget, and make sure that we're breaking even or close to, and then we can make a decision as to whether we want to go into it for a second year.
Okay. She's worked really hard. We've had 2 meetings to just first to kind of go through the numbers and see if it was feasible. I have to tell you, I was pretty excited. I think it does a lot. Of course, we want to provide for the kids. That's the biggest part, which is great. But it also, when you think about the work related to taking money, keeping track of accounts, it really charges, it takes a huge burden off the child nutrition department as well. So not that that would be the primary reason we would try to go after that program, but feeding kids for free is amazing. And you all know that whether your families, we had families that ended up on direct cert, qualified for the program this year, and didn't know it because they never would have filled out the paperwork to take the free lunch. So that was kind of an epiphany of discovery for me. because you would think people would automatically do that, but they just don't. So we have a lot of families that I feel like will be reached and helped beyond those that actually qualify for that program.
What has helped us with numbers also this year is the State Department is doing a pilot, and they are allowing us to count Medicaid-free students also. So that has helped us to up our percentage numbers.
Okay, any
Are there
questions?
other districts in the state that have participated in this?
Oh, well, they do, absolutely. And they're the high needs, higher economically disadvantaged districts in our area. Sherry and I were commenting about that. We probably are the only one.
Well, Tulsa and Oklahoma City are both CEP.
Right. Lawton,
Did they go?
I think Lawton went.
Midwest City just went, and Bartlesville just went. But other than that, there's not many in our area besides Tulsa Public.
And the food service that we would offer would be no different than what they're getting today.
No, sir, it'll be the same thing. They'll just get the opportunity to get a free breakfast and a free lunch. And what we are finding is, and after I've talked to a lot of my managers about this, what we're finding is we have a lot of kids coming through that either won't get a meal because they don't have the money, their family income kind of falls through the cracks, so they're not qualifying for free, reduced. Mom and dad may not be filling out an application. So a lot of these kids, some of them aren't eating, and they're just walking away, especially at the secondary level. So I really think this is going to open it up for a lot of those kids. There's not going to be anything that they're going to have to deal with. They're going to go through the lunch line. We'll have to count them at the point of sale like we always do, but there will be no charge for those meals. And I think it's going to allow those kids to really start coming in and eating. And we all know that a hungry child can't learn. So I think that's really going to open it up. A lot of our kids will come to school and not eat breakfast. So if we really try to market that also to them, to make sure and get there, you've got a free breakfast waiting on you, come and eat, I think that's going to be very helpful for all of our families. And it's especially those, I mean, not only just with one child, but we have so many households that have many, many children. And I think it's going to be great for our district in general.
So kind of like the post few COVID years when everything was free, did we have higher numbers of kids that were eating through the child nutrition department versus like now that it's back to?
We did. I actually pulled the numbers from 21-22, which was the last year that we fed all free because of COVID. And I took those numbers knowing that we had gone up to run some of my calculations. And in running that, it was a whole lot different than this last year using those numbers. That's the reason I really feel like if we can just if it just goes up at least 12%, it's gonna be fine, and it's gonna be great for our kids.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
If we offer meals to the juniors and seniors who get to go off campus today, can we accommodate that quantity of students at the high school at one time? Not that I know if it's free, they're still going to go out to Arby's or whatever and eat. But
yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to compete when they get wheels.
yeah,
But I do. I feel like we can accommodate that well.
Okay. Cool.
I feel like we'll see more just because it's free. Now, to the extent we can accommodate, we'll see. I feel like we will be okay. I've visited the cafeteria. I've never been in the cafeteria during a school lunch at the high school where it has been packed. I just haven't, and that's just honest. And so the capacity for the high school cafeteria is around 400. We've had the entire teaching staff at an opening assembly before, so that it can accommodate that many adults. So I don't foresee it being a problem. So I doubt we'll get to 400 in any one lunch period, but what a nice problem.
I do know that when we did all the renovations and everything, that was part of the plan, was to incorporate areas that could be used to sit down and eat, not necessarily just stick them in the cafeteria room. I mean, there's other places that there were that were added to just for that reason.
Right. So we talked about the auditorium area, which hasn't been manned as much as it has been in the past. You want to speak to that? Because you're right, Mr. Noggle.
We, this last year, we did not utilize the snack area in the auditorium lobby because of staffing. I just didn't have enough staff that they could man all of it. So we moved a lot of those items up to the cafeteria. But what our goal is this year is to have like a grand reopening of that part of our facility, and really try to accommodate the kids and get it out there. What we've looked and ran into is, especially the freshmen coming in or the sophomores, they don't even really know it exists. So we're really going to have to market it, and that's going to be one of our goals during schedule pickup times and things like that. I'm going to have staff up there that are really working that area, and possibly even doing taste tests and things so that the kids are aware of what's going to be served and what's to come.
Thank you, Sherry. Any other questions, you guys?
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
I can promise you, Sherry doesn't go through an abrupt change ever, and is super thoughtful, just in making sure she's doing the data points and doing enough research. So I appreciate the work. Okay, let's see. I think that might conclude my report. If you guys are ready to move on to the consent.
Consent agenda.
Okay. So I'd bring item number 23.
Can we look at item 19D?
Absolutely, yes.
What's going on there? Do you know?
Coy Cavness accepted an administrator's position at Sapulpa.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you hate to lose the good ones, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
He was
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You're welcome. Item number 23, approval of the Oklahoma Public School Resource Center agreement for software support with Infinite Campus. This is one that was recommended by Ms. Stinson. Again, to be honest, OPSRC has kind of risen up as being a really great resource for lots of different things, but this one, getting software support with Infinite Campus, our database, is a coup. So she's recommending approval of that service. Let's see, item number 27, Ms. Slahuber is not here tonight. She's taking a vacation this week. However, I give her credit for the opioid abatement grant award. We won that award, and our plan is to hire a drug counselor at Charles Page High School. So that is posted at this point. Yeah, item number 28, Berry Hill Public Schools, that's a IEP service agreement to provide a structure for them to send students to the Transition Academy. She is on fire too with making sure our kids with disabilities have a program that's viable and sufficient and really pretty great. So we're trying to staff it. We're not trying. We are staffing it fully. We're going to be a little bit busier this year than we were last year. That was the first year, but Berry Hill basically is paying us $21,810 to partake in our academy.
I think we should make sure people understand that's an F instead of a V, so we don't provide any vape for anybody out there.
Oh, vape. Yeah, I agree. I agree. No vapes allowed. Item number 32 is, we have this contract already. It was for the remainder of the year, but we're providing yoga in our wellness facility. So that's an approval of to continue that contract through this following year. Item number 34 is.
You ever talk to anybody about getting some goats?
Some goats? No.
Oh, okay.
Goat yoga. You're
Yeah,
telling me about that. I think you actually sent a YouTube video on that one. No, I did not, Mr.
Oh, okay.
Okay, item number 34, review and approval of an arbitrage compliance specialist for bond compliance. We have done this before, and basically it's a way to ensure that we stay in compliance with the rules behind specifically our revenue lease bond. You don't run those very often. There's regulations like the length of time of which you have to expend the money. So for like revenue lease bonds, it's 3 years. For regular GO bonds, it's 5. There's also some regulations about how much interest you could draw if you chose to invest the money. It can't be over a certain amount. And what this person would do, or this company would do, is make sure we stay in compliance. We've done this before when Mr. Morris was in Mr. Wyann's seat. When we ran the 19 bond, we let that lapse. And under guidance from Zach Robinson, he suggested that that would be a good plan. I agree. And so we're asking for approval. While it's new here, it's not something that the board hasn't approved before, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because it's different. Let's see, 36 and 37, Claudia, you're out there, but just the whole approval of an evaluation component of our federal programs is kind of a new it probably has never been, it's not new, but it's certainly been brought to our attention about needing board approval. So it's an evaluation of those federal programs that we have to show our due diligence when we get monitored, which will be next year. So that's what that is. Those are items that you haven't seen readily before, I don't think. And then item number 40. Go, yep.
38.
Oh, 38.
What are we using that 2.89 acres for?
So that was where the old Twin Cities building is. We're not using it. What we do is we lease that. We have been doing that for some time to Olivet Baptist Church. They live right next door to Twin Cities, the old Twin Cities.
They're leasing it from us.
Correct.
Okay.
And what we get in return is they take care of the mowing, to be honest. So it's cheap, very cheap. Mike loves it because he doesn't have to mess with the care in the summers.
I have a quick question on 26. I thought we hired enough speech pathologists. Am I
We're lacking one. And Kristen had a call into one today who wanted to back out of a contract, but I don't know what I don't know where we're at with that, but we lack one still.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would prefer not to have any that we would
I thought
contract
we were
with.
going to be.
Yeah, I
under
thought so
that
too, but I don't know that we are right now. So still working on it. We've had a speech pathology posting for an entire year probably. Right. They are few and far between, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. Although this is not a problem that every other district in the state doesn't have. So, I mean, I find comfort in, we have most of ours that are our employees, which is great, but we're still needing one. So, good question though, Tracy. I know, right? You know, she has her speech pathology certification. There's that. So she's doing a great job, by the way. I want to mention the number 40 because those are our first reads, so we're not asking for approval tonight. But I want to clarify because I know Mr. Mullins had a question about letter B on item 40, and then 42 is a rescission of the certified leave sick leave policy. So we're going to table, when we get to the action items, I'll say this again, but we're going to table item 42. What is confusing about it is that for whatever reason, OSSBA relabeled their policies. And so there are no DEAC policies at OSSBA. They're all DEC. So while it's an updated regulation language under letter B, and we will need to rescind that policy, that's the reason. So it looks funny, but he made a good point. Since we're not actually approving DEC R1 tonight, we should keep DEAC, which is the old lettering, until that happens next month. So we'll table that item until August. So I wanted to make that clarification. So that concludes consent agenda unless you guys have further questions.
Any other questions?
Mr. Turkey, I just want to compliment your staff on all of the student handbooks and the uniformity that from one school site to the next that we had in them. I like the looks of them, and I think it works out very well.
I agree.
Thank you for that.
Right now, Carrie Slahuber and a team is working on some attendance updates. Just we have some cleanup language to do that you'll probably see in August. But I have to attribute that to Claudia Smith. She works on those policy and the handbooks, or the handbooks at the sites, and she does a really great job. And she's pointing over to Lisa for probably formatting. I don't know, but those needed to be unified, and I'm going to give her all the credit because she's worked really hard over the years. So thank you, Claudia. And yes, I would agree. We have a fantastic team. Super proud of all of them. So, any other questions?
I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
So moving on to item 41. These are policy manual changes that we're asking for first read and approval, one and done tonight. The first one, the school board meetings agenda, preparation, dissemination. The only change in there is a corrected website. So it needed, just there, we find those. We'll look at policy and go, ooh, we need to change that. CLBCB is security guards. Again, Mr. Mullins brought it to our attention that, let me find it, that has one correction, and now I can't find it. Where, oh, there it is. In the first paragraph, there's after the word handguns, 011 appeared as a number. I have no idea why, so we'll strike that language. So I want to make a note of that, Beth, when we approve. Anyway, we've added in the red at the bottom, reporting documentation is required within 24 hours. So that was a new piece to security guards for this year. Let's see. The school personnel and digital and electronic communications with students is new. Again, nothing really new there except people have got to comply with the law. So I will say this, we named this one, and we as a team decided to incorporate our RFR policy. If you'll recall, Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringgold is our attorney group that we use. This is a policy that they wrote for the purpose of meeting the law. When we compared it to the OSSBA policy, we really liked the language better. My reflection is because it could become a legal matter really quickly, I would rather utilize a policy written by the attorneys that represent us. So that was a major reason for promoting this one, and basically it's a reiteration of what's required by law. So again, required by law, necessary, and we have had incidences in the past that have required us to ferret out instances where communication was happening with students that we needed to look at. So then intra-district transfers is another law that's required, or a policy that's required. This is a new law that requires us to also consider intra-district transfers first when looking at capacity. Ms. Slahuber, he's in charge of that. We had a pretty long conversation about should that be different than the capacity that we already provide the public? And the truth is, capacity is capacity, whether it's intra-district or outside the district. So you won't see capacity numbers change, but basically it's giving the parent, the ability to apply if capacity allows intra-district transfers. So from Limestone to Angus or vice versa. So nothing really will change with our procedure, by the way. We'll continue to do that the same way. And then GBA is open records request. This changes the amount of money that we charge. We don't get those requests very long, but very much, but when we do, it's a lot of work, to be honest, to come up with some of the things they ask for. We can make the records request available online if that makes sense. So that's a little nugget that we added. And then just, what's required by law in terms of hours available for inspecting or copying or reproductions. We just need to try, that keeps Beth a little bit busy, to be honest. And Lisa's handled some of those as well. So those are the changes or the policies we're asking for first read approval tonight.
Any questions?
I make a motion to accept item 41 as stated.
Motion and a second. Vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Okay, item 42, Ms. President, I'm asking to table for tonight. So we'll, if you so choose, go to item 43.
Do I have a motion for proposed executive session?
I make a motion to accept item 44.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
To accept item 44 or 45 and 46.
Yeah, we'll put all those together.
Do them both again.
No executive session, just
Yeah.
No executive session, we're just voting
44,
on
45,
44,
46.
45, 46.
And 43?
That's the order.
No,
43 is
43
executive
is the,
session.
Executive
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
43 is to go into the executive session. so
Right.
we're not gonna do
And
that.
And
44.
44, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 45,
and
46,
46.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
There's a lot
48 or
going on there.
22 or something.
Hey, we were in the heat for a minute.
Yes.
all of them.
All of
Yeah,
them.
we
We're
just did
still
the
wet.
same thing.
All the above.
Or no, all the above. We've already done all the above.
So what we're voting on is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
Yeah, the
6,
employment
7, 8,
of,
10, 11.
11, got you.
Items 45 and 46.
right.
Okay. So do we have a motion and a second for both items,
Yes.
5 and 46?
Yes, I will second.
Okay.
Now I'll motion it.
Roll call, vote, please.
Hey, we're going all the way to the top.
The heat. It's the heat.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
All right,
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Okay, item 47 is about a new account that Mr. Wine is recommending to set up. I'm going to let him take this item and explain the reason.
Yeah, so this would just be an extra account at American Heritage for us to receive ACH payments from other vendors. So I think we've been hesitant to do this in the past because of giving out our main activity account information, which is required for us to receive ACHs. So at the direction of American Heritage, when we talked with them, we found out that it would just be easier to set up a new account, and then that will only be for receiving ACH payments. It will not be for sending out ACH payments, just for receiving them, and then we will just do a transfer from that account to the main activity account. So our main operating activity account won't be touched by the ACH payments. So, I mean, as we go into, I mean, it's 2024 and more places are wanting to ACH, and we've just never had it set up. So that would be what that would be for.
just comes in,
Listen,
makes us more votes.
right? It's the greatest thing ever, though. You get a new set of eyes and then people that really see futuristically, which is great. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I will say too, Stacy Young, who's our activity funds clerk, she was pretty instrumental in trying to have that set up, and she'll be the one that will be reconciling that in addition to the main activity account too. So,
Awesome. I make a motion to accept item 47.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Didn't we already talk about 48?
We did, and
Okay,
so that's
I make a motion to accept item 48.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
All right,
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Item 49 should be the last bond vote for a bit. And as you know, anytime you have a revenue lease bond, you also have a sublease to approve each year. And this would be the one for our 2024 bond with the Tulsa County Industrial Authority that would cover this site Clyde Boyd Middle School and Charles Page High School with Memorial Stadium, the big projects that we're completing.
I'll move to approve the renewal of the sublease purchase as stated in number 49.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? No. Vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye. All right. Any matter not known about or could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the posting of this agenda?
There is not.
Any announcements?
I want to make one announcement. I just noticed in the paper today, Miss Durkee, I want to brag on Sand Springs, on Miss Durkee and Lisa. I was going to read what it says. The National School Public Relations Association presented Sand Springs Public Schools with the 2024 Publications and Digital Media Excellence Award for financial publication for the district's 2024 bond proposal website. The award recognizes outstanding education publications and marketing materials about tax levies, school bond issues, budgets, and other financial topics. Nice.
Did that just come up on your phone?
No, so we,
It's in the newspaper this morning.
thank you for
I just
doing
took
that.
a
There
picture
will
of
be
it.
a board award for that in August, but I'm appreciative that you sent that to me today because she is flat amazing.
That's
That's
Yeah.
cool.
awesome.
That's really cool. So,
Awesome, yeah.
Good
Very
job.
Yeah, we know
Lisa.
she is.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Somebody will. Figure that out.
Selfie.
Somebody.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Vote, please.
Mullins,
aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
I didn't get my name in the meetings got called tonight.